Now WWE seems to be quietly teasing a major directional shift for Jade Cargill, a small, easy-to-miss beat that could signal a big change, and it's something a lot of fans probably overlooked. After winning the Queen of the Ring tournament, picking up momentum with victories over notable opponents and finishing a solid program with Naomi, Jade looked like she was on a collision course to finally claim the Women's Championship at SummerSlam. The build-up felt organic, tournament success, convincing wins, and what appeared to be a natural next step toward becoming champion. Everything suggested she was primed for that big moment. But at SummerSlam the expectation didn't play out. Instead of the payoff many anticipated, Jade left without the title, and that outcome created immediate questions. Where does she go from here? Does she remain a sympathetic babyface who rises again through grit and determination? Does she pivot into a heel role, blaming the crowd and her peers for perceived slights? Or will WWE take her in a different direction entirely? The answers began to surface in a backstage SmackDown vignette that on its surface felt minor, but which actually planted a few narrative seeds with multiple possible interpretations. The vignette opened with Tiffany Stratton touting her impressive 216-day reign and assuring viewers she intended to keep defending and retaining the championship. Jade interrupted, reminding Stratton that a foot on the rope had cost her the belt in their match and insisting things would be different next time. Stratton was untroubled, essentially saying the story might change but the result would stay the same. Then Kiana James walked in with Julia, a legitimate U.S. Women's Champion. Kiana handed Jade a business card and suggested she call if she was serious about getting back into the title picture. Jade pushed back, saying she'd do it her way. Kiana told her to keep the card just in case, and Julia echoed that sentiment before the two left. Later, Mikan appeared with a kendo stick, asked Jade whether she planned to use the card, and when Jade said no, Mikan hinted she might call Kiana herself to get a title opportunity. That brief exchange sparked a lot of conversation because it suggests multiple routes. One is that Jade could align with Kiana and Julia, forming a new women's faction. Another is that the scene was simply a seed for a future program, perhaps Jade versus Julia for the U.S. Women's Championship, or a feud with Mikan that grows from the social slight Jade dealt by refusing the card. On paper, a Julia versus Jade program makes a lot of sense. Julia is an established title holder with credibility, and a program between two legitimate talents could deliver a high-quality feud and a match fans would want to see. The logic of an alliance with Kiana is less convincing though. Managers traditionally elevate people who need promo assistance, guidance, or leverage. They open doors for performers who can't secure opportunities alone. Jade does not fit that description. She's an alpha presence with a built-in aura, size, presence, athleticism, and has been presented as a dominant individual talent. Pairing her with a manager who lacks proven influence risks diluting what makes Jade special. Kiana, to date, hasn't shown an obvious ability to manufacture opportunities or provide clear storyline advantages that would justify Jade signing on with her. The risk is that Jade's identity becomes muddled if she's folded into someone else's angle without a compelling in-story reason for doing so. That said, there are several constructive ways WWE could use the backstage beat without damaging Jade's standing. One sensible option would be to pivot Jade toward Julia and the U.S. title. That would provide a fresh target, avoid immediate rematch fatigue with Tiffany, and create a credible, high-interest singles program. Another useful approach is a contained feud with Mikan or Kiana, born from the rejection of the card. If Mikan feels snubbed and aligns with Kiana, that could create a straightforward storyline in which Jade is the dominant babyface who dismantles a heel faction's plans. A short, decisive program of that kind would give Jade regular TV time and a string of wins without undermining her aura with unnecessary losses. What Jade needs now is consistent television exposure, credible opponents, and a narrative that rebuilds her as a main event level presence rather than a placeholder. That means avoiding scattered finishes or convoluted booking that leaves her looking weaker than before. Instead, creative should craft a purposeful arc, a few decisive wins, a tag or multi-woman match that demonstrates her dominance without immediately forcing a title rematch, and meaningful promo work that explains her motivations and keeps fans emotionally invested. Let her address the SummerSlam loss in honest terms, framing it as fuel for a renewed push rather than a career-defining failure. There are concrete booking choices that also protect her image while keeping things interesting. Non-title brawls, stipulation matches, or lumberjack-style bouts can showcase her strengths and minimize the chance of cheap losses. A carefully timed contender match with narrative weight or a stipulation that suits Jade's skill set can make a future title opportunity feel earned. Similarly, tag matches and multi-woman contests can be used to re-establish her finisher as a decisive tool. A clean finish in a prominent tag match can rebuild credibility and momentum without immediately relying on title stakes. Mic work is important too. Promos that portray Jade as focused and emotionally driven following the SummerSlam setback will preserve sympathy and make viewers want to follow her journey. Use backstage vignettes, social clips, and occasional interview segments to extend those promo moments beyond the weekly show so the storyline resonates with viewers between broadcasts, and allow the reactive elements of storytelling to play out. If Mike or Kiana feel neglected, let their frustration manifest through social media taunts, ambushes, and interference that logically lead to matches. Those tangible story beats give the program texture and clarity. From a broader perspective, promotional focus matters. Feature Jade in marketing materials, give her meaningful moments on streaming platforms, and highlight her in cross-promotional content. If WWE invests in presenting her as a central star outside the ring, the in-ring booking will carry greater weight and fans will be more inclined to accept a brief rebuilding period. Consistent visibility in promos and special features makes a comeback arc feel like part of a larger push rather than a stopgap. To expand on practical options, imagine a specific timeline that preserves her aura. Week 1 after SummerSlam, book a strong singles win that closes decisively and gives her a moment to address the crowd. Week 2, place her in a tag match where she finishes clean and shows versatility. Week 3, a backstage promo that outlines stakes. That 3-week rhythm provides TV exposure, keeps her busy, and avoids the pitfall of rushing her back into a rematch cycle. Simultaneously, seed a short feud from the SmackDown beat. If Mike feels overlooked and decides to call Kiana, allow that angle to simmer. Ambushes, verbal jabs on social platforms, and interference during other matches can build heat. When the feud is finally televised, make sure the matches are decisive and that Jade looks competent and dominant. A short program where Jade dismantles a credible opponent over 2 encounters restores momentum and clarifies direction. Consider also the types of matches and stipulations that protect her aura. Non-title brawls, lumberjack matches, or stipulation-based singles matches can showcase Jade's strength while shielding her from cheap losses. A carefully timed championship encounter with a stipulation that complements Jade's style will feel logical rather than arbitrary. Allow supporting characters to add drama without diminishing Jade. Kiana can function as a manipulative presence who schemes from the sidelines, while Julia can be framed as a worthy target whose title would elevate Jade's status if taken. That way, supporting players add texture without relegating Jade to a lesser role. Finally, integrate branding and real-world promotion. Feature her in specials, give her social media-driven story beats that generate organic buzz, and include behind-the-scenes content to increase visibility. Fans are more likely to accept a rebuilding period when they see consistent promotional backing. All of these moves require coordinated creative planning, not scattershot decisions. If WWE maps a purposeful course that mixes decisive wins, compelling promos, smart match types, and deliberate marketing, Jade's SummerSlam setback will feel like a temporary hurdle. That small SmackDown moment could become the pivot that launches Jade Cargill into her next major run, provided the company follows through with intention and respect for what made her special in the first place.